Good morning, good morning. Hello, everybody. How are we doing today? Sanbonani, Huyamora, Absheni, Ekaro, Kedu. I hope we're all doing well today. It's a new day. Welcome to Godher, where we teach you how to manifest your talents and gifts courageously without fear, with a whole lot of boldness and pizzazz. My name is Khudisang, and I'm here today to discuss one of my favorite topics. Today, we're talking about failure. What if I told you that failure was crucial? What if I told you that failure is actually necessary for your growth? I'm going to tell you a little background story. I'm having my coffee. Coffee just makes everything so much better. So, here's this young girl. She's 17, going out to varsity, leaving her home comforts, parents for the very first time, going out on her own. That's me. Got to varsity, did my first year, and I failed dismally. Guys, you know that disgraceful fail where you don't even pass like one module, like everything. I failed everything, all my modules. And it was a lot of factors actually that led to that fail. But the main one being immaturity and just unseriousness, you understand, and just not realizing, the importance of that opportunity that I was given to study. So that fail changed my life. Now remember, I had never failed in my life, like from grade 1 to grade 12. I had never failed, and I'm rocking up to my first year, and I just passed with an exemption. My matric results were good, and then I failed first year. The disgrace, the embarrassment, the shame. But thank God for like amazing parents that were not like, hey, you're gonna sit home and figure out what you do with yourself, because here you are, you failed. My mom was like, off you go. Next year, go register, repeat the course. And guys, I passed with flying colors. Never mind that I was repeating, but I passed because something shifted in my mind. And I realized how it was so important to maximize every opportunity, because there's a lot of, I remember there were quite a few that didn't come back from that fail, some of my friends. And it really changed a lot within me, because from then on, I became this young lady with so much fire and so much passion for everything that I did. Like everything that I would lay my hands on had to prosper, and I had to do very well at it. I basically came back to myself, because I didn't allow myself to dwell in that failure, or in that fail rather. And it's one thing that I want us to learn today, that because you failed at something, it does not make you a failure. You basically just did not succeed at attempting to do something for the first time. That's all. And that's how you should view failure. And even in your journey, to manifesting your gifts and your talents, there's going to be a lot of things that you're going to want to try out that are not going to work out. And it's okay. You're going to get some no's, along the way. And it's okay. Do not personalize failure. Do not attach your person to the fact that something didn't work out that you were trying, right? We learn to detach ourselves from situations, from things that don't work, and we move on and we bounce back quickly, right? That's the most important thing to learn. Now, grew up, fine, we graduated, and me and my best friend started a business. Like, I don't know where we got that boldness, y'all. We were like, what, 19? Yeah, we were like 19 going to 20, and we stood in the queues, registered our little business. The name of the business was called Blueberry Textiles. Ish, it was so nunus, the logos, cute little berry. It was such a cute little business that we started. We made cushions, we made clothes, we printed t-shirts for our friends, we hemmed pants. Like, you would get these guys that lived in some of the buildings that we lived in, and they would be like, "Hey, can you hem these pants for me for like $10?" Yeah, we made a little bit of money, and because of growing up, I suppose, um, we had, different interests, and my friend was like, "You know what? This is not for me. I'm moving on, pursuing other interests," because she's have been like a graphic designer slash advertising human at heart since I've known her. And she's like, "You know what? I'm pursuing like different things. This is not, it's not for me." I was crushed. I was so crushed. And as a result, I ended up deregistering the business. But I was really, really sad. And in hindsight, I would keep going back to that moment, and I had a little bit of regret because I was like, but why did I not pursue? Why did I not continue? I would have been very far by now. Why didn't I continue with that textile business? It was doing well and I could have grown it and blah, 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 blah. But it was done. I failed at that. And I owned it, and I sort of started trying to find a way to move on. And then I meet my husband, and we start a business together. Alcohol decorations, because he studied decorating and I did textiles, and I'm like, okay, no. So we're like, okay, no, let's join forces and see what we can come up with. But guys, there was still that thing in me that needed to come out. There was still that desire to see this dream of this textiles coming to life. And I would still go back thinking about Blueberry Textiles, and I'd feel sad. And I had to work around that. I had to navigate my way out of how I viewed that Blueberry Textiles fail. And we were working, with alcohol decorations, and we did this and that and this and that. And for some reason, I just got distracted and started it became a long story. Started working at Statistics South Africa. Fish out of water. It was just, but like it's part of my journey. I think I mentioned it in the previous video that I eventually had to resign from Statistics South Africa because I knew that I was living a lie. This is not who you are. This is not your genetic makeup. You're not made to be sitting here and crunching numbers because you don't know what you're doing, and I got out of Statistics South Africa, and I think what happened is that I came to, and I began to be honest with myself. And that's when Alcohol Designs was born. We rebranded, and I believe that I think I had told myself that I owe it to that young lady to succeed. I owe it to that young lady that failed her first year and that failed at her first business attempt. I owe it to her to succeed at this business. We rebranded, our business is doing well. Alcohol Designs is exactly what I want. African fashion and textiles, we get to express our gifts, through this business. My husband is happy, I'm happy, and we're doing well. We're doing well because we're doing what we desire to do and we're manifesting our gifts, right? And the main thing that I want to bring out of these stories that I'm telling you, or these encounters, is that you do not dwell in what didn't work out. You find a way to move on. You find a way to tell yourself a better story about yourself. You might have failed at a relationship, but it doesn't make you a failure. You might have failed at a job. It does not make you a failure. What you do is you look at what lessons need to be learned from those fails. You take them and you move on. There are some surprising benefits to failure, and I just want to highlight a few of them. When you fail at something, you get an opportunity to do something in a different way. You understand? Like, you learn to do something in a different way. It's an opportunity to use a different method to do something. That's like one of the benefits of failure. Number two, you become a master, you become a teacher at this thing that you failed at, because you are able to say, listen, that's not the route to go. That's not how to do it. I've tried that way before and it didn't work. So rather, this is what I did and this is what worked. You can become a teacher, you can become a specialist at that thing that you failed at. Depending, obviously, on how you see it. Your perspective matters. You've got to change the way you see failure. I know that we grew up being conditioned, to believe that if you fail at something, you're potentially a failure, and the chances of you, succeeding are, lessened, with every fail. I know a lot of our friends that we both started first year together doing fine arts and trying to discover ourselves. And some of them dropped out because they were like, look, this is not who I am. And some of them are doing really well in their chosen fields. They're doing really, it's not art, but they're doing really well, because another thing that failure does is it helps you discover who you are. You can fail at something because you were not called to it. And sometimes you can fail at something because God is just looking for a bit of a fight from you. How many times do we drop things and we give up at the first attempt because it didn't work? And I know something that, Christians like to say, like, oh, it's not the will of God. Meanwhile, you know that your faith cannot carry the battle. Your faith cannot carry that fight. And sometimes God just wants you to push a little harder. God wants you to fight a little more. And you're like, oh no, but it's the will of God. I don't think God wants me to have it at the first attempt. And I'm here to challenge you today to rise up from every failure. I'm here to challenge you today to change your perspective on failure. Change how you see failure, because failure is not bad. Failure can be good for you, depending on how you choose to see it. And failure creates passion and it creates hunger. Anytime I have to do academic work, anything at all, anytime I'm presented with an opportunity to do something, I throw myself at it because of that fail. Because of that fail, I learned, that failure created such a passion in me, such, the failures that I've encountered in my life, they created such a passion. And, it was almost like I knew that I owed it to my younger self to succeed. Even now, every opportunity that I'm presented with, I keep having to remind myself, like, hey, this is not Blueberry Textiles, and we're not going to do that to that young lady. We're going to push and we're going to make sure that we rise above every defeat, above every loss. We keep on rising. We're all going through a pandemic right now. A lot of businesses are failing. A lot of people are losing their jobs. And we did not call this upon ourselves, but yet here we are going through it. And to some, it might be perceived as failure. Don't start blaming yourself, or you could have done this, or you could have done that. The fact remains that it's happening and it's already happened. How are you going to rise from it? How are you going to find a way to navigate your way out of the failure? How are you going to rise again? And those are some of the things that I really want us to focus on. Like I mentioned earlier, even in your journey to pursue the manifestation of your gifts and your talents and to live an authentic life, you're going to come across some failures. You're going to come across some things that are not going to work out. There are some events that are going to attempt to crush you, but you've constantly got to find the fight within you to rise again. Whether it's in a relationship, whether it's in a job, academics, whatever it is, you are not your failure. You might have quit school completely because you failed at something, and I'm here to challenge you. Rise again. Rise again. Go do what you have to do, and show that situation who's boss. You're not your failure. You're not what you went through. Rather, look for the lessons and keep pursuing. And I want you to be strong mentally. Keep praying and take care of yourself. It's important to take care of yourself. I hope you learned something valuable today about failure and change the way you see failure. And my prayer for you today is that you will rise above every challenge, that you will rise above every trial, and that you will come to the realization that you've got what it takes to make it, that you are power packed, you're talented, you're graced, and you're gifted. My name is Khudisang, signing out from Godher. Please remember to subscribe, comment, share, and like. I hope you learned something, and I'll see you next time. Ciao!